Hi guys, it's me Karen, and today I've come to do a page in The World Within Worlds by Kerby Rosanes. I'm going to do this turtle page here, and I'm going to do a kind of a background color first. I'm going to cover it in distress inks and then go over it in pencils. And I'm going to use these pencils. It's hard for me to pronounce the name. Schpirerr Farbens pencils. And I'm going to use those over the ink. So what I'm going to start with is kind of the turtle skin here first. And we're going to use gathered twigs, walnut stain, and vintage photo in browns first, and then I'm going to add in some greens also. Okay, so I'm going to first start off with the gathered twigs, and I'm going to use these little tools here. Just going to let's see, I have to grab a piece of paper here just so I know how much ink I'm picking up. And there we go. So we're going to kind of just give him a brown look here. I'm just kind of setting it down hard in this dark crease and then just flicking it up. I don't know if you can see that terribly well, but that I wanted you to be able to see the whole page while I was doing this, so you can get an idea of what I'm doing. Just going to go down this side, kind of using it like a pencil or a pen, kind of putting pressure down on this side and leaving less pressure at the other end. And I'm just kind of pulling that ink that's left on this tiny little sponge towards the center here. Put a little up here on the top of his head. And kind of pull it up into those branches a little bit. Okay, we're going to go down his foot here. It's okay if it gets into the shell. Underside of his shell. Can add a little shadowing there. Kind of in between his toes and bring it up a little. And then this is the darker side of this foot. So we're going to bring it down on that side. And in between his toes again. And then this foot, kind of on both sides. And in between his toes. Okay, the one thing you have to remember is when you're using distress ink, it will go down as one color and then it lightens up. So if you want just to do one coat of this, you'll want to make it a little darker than you wanted to in the beginning. So basically that is his skin on that side. We're going to add in a little of vintage photo. Same tool. This is just a reddish color, a redder color I should say, than the gathered twigs. So we're going to put that in more of the shadowy areas. So just kind of going over the same area that I had already put the one ink down. This will just deepen it a little bit. And if you're wondering about the walnut stain, it is even darker. So this is our darkest color that we're going to put in. In between the toes again. And then we're going to go there a little bit. Hold on just a second. There we go. All right. It's a little darker there. All right. Then we're going to bring in some of the green. So I have shabby shutters that I just threw across the room, but you know, that's this kind of light green here. And I'm going to place that kind of like under his mouth here. Down this side. Kind of in his little face up here. So it's like one side brown, one side green. This side is the lighter side, and this is the side I wanted to have more green in. Okay, then we're going to go in with pine needles, which is a very dark green, kind of a bluish green. So we're going to put some of that in, kind of in the darkest areas where we want a shadow. Kind of like that. Okay. I'm going to bring in some scattered straw, which is kind of a yellowish color. I don't think I have a little stick that I can use for that, so let me see if I have. That doesn't look terribly yellow. What is on that one? It's kind of brown. We'll see what we can do with this. And use one of the bigger tools for this one. There we go. It's a yellow gold color. And I'm just going to kind of bring that up and blend those colors together. The brown and the greens. And I'm just using the corner here. So if you're wondering why it's not getting all over the place, it's because I'm just using that edge. Now I'll probably get it in here. That's not a big deal. There we go. Let's get a little more over here. There we go. Kind of liking the look at that. And then we're going to bring in some pencils, and I have to pick those out. So hold on a moment. Okay, I'm going to move the camera down so we can get a better look. We are going to use chocolate 670, brown, which is 660, and maple, which is 1110 or 110. So I'll get the camera down so we can see how we're going to color this. Okay, here we go. We'll use the darkest color, which is the chocolate, first, and kind of go in all the areas where we want to darken. Then we're going to bring it onto the shell here. We can bring this color up into the trees too. Up this branch. Sorry for the loud noise. Kids are out of school for the rest of the year, and of course the high schoolers have cars they like to drive up and down the road with louder mufflers than other people. Okay, go down the leg. This chocolate is basically the same color as the walnut, so you can get a nice dark shadow in there. And we'll kind of put some in here too. We'll go down this leg, do the same thing. And then the last leg, kit just moved over. And thanks to Kerby's work, you can tell where the shadows are, are supposed to be by these little lines. So you can put the darkest, stop moving camera, the darkest color in those areas. You can also put black in those areas to darken it even more. And then lighten it where he doesn't have all these little teeny dashes. And you get this cool effect going that way. Just gonna do that. Okay, well, we're gonna go in and do the whole thing starting over here with the brown color. And then work it all down the leg here. And we'll put a little of this on his claws, toenails. I like going over the green with this brown. Tones it down a little bit. Makes it look more mossy. Okay, his other foot. Okay, then we'll bring in the maple. Kind of going over the places that we put the scattered straw. And of course his toes. The more pressure you put on, the brighter the color will be. Some areas you want brighter and some areas you don't want so bright. Well, at least I don't. Go up here in his face. Kind of go up that tree branch there. And some of that into this rocky area here. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to do his little toes down here. Now I left a spot on there, and I'm going to try to get like an ivory. Hold on. Helps a little if you put the mic back on, doesn't it? Ivory color. What do we got here? Yeah, that's ivory. So we're going to do his toe here on the top in an ivory. And then goes on all toes. No, you can't see this toe, but we're putting it on that toe too. There we go. I'm going to see if we can get any of this showing up here. Just drag all these colors up the branches. Just going to highlight this area coming down here. And probably pull this down into each one of the legs a little bit. And we can go on the rock with it also. Just gonna kind of go over it, kind of with heavy pressure, and then I'll darken it up. With something else. Okay, a little of that over here. What it is kind of putting a lighter color on top of the scattered straw and the maple, just to brighten it up a little tiny bit. Not as bright as a white would, but that gives us a little bit of coloration there. Okay. Now, I'm going to bring in a little bit of Prisma white. Excuse me, guys, quit rolling on my desk. Stay over there. My pencils. I'm going to try to whiten this up just a little bit in here because I inked it. Just want to have a little whiter eye there. And then I'm going to go over it in black, his pupil. I have pens here. We're going to use, since these are open and sitting on my desk, the Staedtler 8 pigment liner set that I have received, and I'm going to use this one that is out, and it is number 0.5. So it's got a small tip on it. And we're just going to go over the black area. It's really hard for me to see. That's good. And then I'm going to add white Posca. Just a little piece of that right there that I want out. White Posca and his pupil. It's one of the things I like to do is have his eye finished so I can look at him and see if there's any other personality parts that need to come out in his skin or his shell, or, you know, just to give him a little more attitude. So we're going to, I think we're going to put a little more ink down here on his shell area here. And we're going to just do it with the lightest color of brown I have, and that's the gathered twigs. I'm going to go in with the one that I used for scattered straw, and I'm just going to kind of put a little color down on that. It won't touch too much of the pencil that I put down, but it'll cover some of it. We're going to pull it up and over and across. So I don't know how much you're going to get. I'll just raise the camera a little bit here. And we can bring this up. You can also put it on the ground here. Just kind of fluff it up so you get some light up at the top. We put some of this on the tree. It's kind of growing up. We'll get to a little smaller one of these. So up the tree. Just get some color on them. And there's trees up here. All right. Just kind of darkening it where it comes out in shadows. It's okay if you get it on the page. I'm not worried about that. I can fix that up when I'm putting background up here. So this little guy will get a background. Anywhere you want him to be a little darker, just put a little ink on it. I love playing around with ink. Okay. All right. Got most of the tree. A little bit there. Kind of pulling out of there. A little bit here. And I guess there's a branch up here at the top. And a branch over here. Might as well do the roof with a little shadow on them. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, anything else? Nope. And I do want to put a little of the walnut stain in there just to darken the areas that are down here. Around his leg, around his neck. Just some of these areas here too. Bottom of the roots. Just add a little bit of that color there too. Just throw a dash up here and there, just to bring this color up towards the top. Okay. And now we'll just go in with the colors on the tree. We'll start with the chocolate. And we'll just work on one of these trees here. The darkest area here. See, he's got most of his lines on that area. It's also the kind of dent where the tree is. And the lighter would be on the top. Play around with it until you like it. just gonna kind of go on the bottom of the branch is the darker portion, and then lighter as it goes up. It's really easy to do it this way when you've inked it, or you can do this with pen pastels if you like. Watercolor, Inktense. Pastel, just plain pastels. Trying to give you some options. If you put extra browns in here, you get a nice kind of woody look going up. So because I have two colors of ink on here already, just going to add 3 colors of pencil and we'll have a nice kind of wood look. Let's see how it's changing them from the just the ink we have on there to kind of a knotted tree here. So kind of a darker, heavier pressure on the side, and then just lighten it up coming out. And same on his shell piece, wherever you think it should be darkest. I follow the lines, add depth to it. You gotta find the the roots and the rocks. Rocky area. I shouldn't say rock, it's a shell. So we have roots coming all over the place. And like I said, just on the bottom side of it is the darkest. The top side is going to be the lightest. And then when we go in, we can put a little of the ivory. Make sure I got the ivory on the top up here to make sure it stays the lightest. Just going to take it up this one branch here. Okay. And if you like that, fine, leave it like that. Or you could add a little bit of the wheat in here and just blend it up into that. So you add a little bit more. Brightness in it. And then the other color is the maple that you can add here and there next to the chocolate. And you also have just the plain old brown if you want to add some of that in there too. And with all those colors, you get a really nice blend going up on your tree. This root goes all over the place, doesn't it? So I'll be doing all the trees like that. I'll add some of this brown down here in the shell too. And we're going to touch it in with some black here. And what is this? We'll find out what color this one is. A dark brown. We'll see how that works. Needs to get a little darker down in here. And then we'll throw in some of the dark brown to go on top of that. And then on top of all the shells here, we're going to add a tiny, tiny bit of the green. I don't want the dark green, so we're going to use the stick that I had used on the brown. And that'll make kind of an olive green effect on these. So just touch the tops. It may or may not pick up some color because of the pencil, but I can add just a little bit in there. I'd be happy. And I'm going to put a little of that up here on the shells. Kind of looks brown. I'm trying to get it a little greener. Maybe I'll use the bigger tool. There, that's a little greener. Just touch and pull. throw some of that up here in the roof line too, just because I want to pull some of that color up towards the top of the page. Pull it down on some of the house. Okay. We're going to let this dry because I have to let it dry on top of the pencil here, and we'll be back in a minute. Okay, we're all dry. What I'm going to do is a little more work on the roofs. I'm kind of liking the way the rocks kind of look, but I will be putting in a little bit more shading, and that's just with the darker colors, so they'll end up looking more like this. But I kind of like the light tips down here, and I wanted to get some roof done here. So I brought in two other colors. So we have Ruby Brown and Plum. Ruby Brown has got kind of a red tint to it, if you can see these two here. Kind of a red tint, and then this one is kind of a red pink. So Plum is not like a purple plum, it's a red plum. And this is a deep red Merlot kind of color, which is kind of neat. And we're just going to add some of this color up here into the roof. So on the edge here, we're going to darken it, and we'll just kind of bring it in. And then we'll bring in a little of the plum. Trying to avoid the branches because we want those to stay brown. And then we're going to bring in a little of the dark brown wherever it went on my desk, and just kind of go over it, especially in these darker divots in the roof that have broken out. And there we go. We're going to do all the roofs that color. So we'll start with the, I can go down here and we're going to put the plum in here. Then we will put in the ruby brown. Okay, and then the dark brown. We'll bring in some of the maple in here too. Just kind of brighten that up a little bit. This is kind of like a gazebo or something here. Okay, we'll go up on this roof. That is the plum. This is the ruby brown. And then the dark brown. And the maple. Okay. We've got 2 more roofs to do. I'll get those done. I'm going to go in with the dark brown here first on this one. And I'll do that on here too. Just the opposite way. This is the ruby brown. The plum. And then the maple. I might bring a little green in there too, I don't know. Okay. Now the house itself, I kind of want to just have it shaded. They're going to be kind of a brown, green house. So let's see if we have like an olive green here. Oops, sorry. Did not mean to do that. Touched it. This cypress green. Oh, that's a pretty color. Oh, you saw that. So where the house is darkest is where I'm going to put this, and this is just the cypress green. It is number 590. Since there is some ink on this, this is just going to be the shadow part. We can throw some of this up in the roof too if you want. All those colors will go with the green. And his skin, we'll put some of this in him too, just so we have a cohesive color palette going. These are windows. It's getting a little harder for me to tell what's what here. Between the branches, the woodwork, and the house. This looks like a little balcony. These look to be more steps. This is a fountain over here. There's our kitty cat up here. Meow. That's the window. Let's not do those yet. Okay, we'll add some of this down in his neck and his green areas. Gonna put some up here by his eye. Really like this color. Sorry. I'm gonna add it in here too. And add some in here too. This is something you will see in most of my coloring. When I start a project, I will put down like a base color, and then every time I add a color, I will try to put it in another place in the picture. because I put this up in the houses, I thought, you know, why not bring it down? Besides, it's a gorgeous color. I'm sorry, I like it. It just helps all the colors go together. We're going to put a little in the tree too. Got some trees that we haven't even colored in yet, but add some into some of these. Put some on his toenails too. Okay. House is also going to need to have some other color in it. I'm going to need a pencil sharpener here. So I'm going to throw a little bit of wheat and a little bit of the ivory in the house. So the wheat is the kind of yellowish color. Really nice with that. Green color we used. I'm going to try to put most of it on like the trim area. But if you notice, I'm pretty loose with the pencil and the areas I'm using it. So there is green in these trim areas. Which isn't bad for shadowing. Okay, then I'm going to bring in kind of a gray. Hopefully this is a light. Oh, what is this color? Hold on. I got the pencils on the other side of my desk here. There seems to be a very light green color here I'm trying to dig out. And if this is a gray, this will work. Yep, it is. Okay. This is called mold. I'm going to put some mold on my page. For the fountain here, I thought a green-gray would be nice. And that works. You can also just add it in here for a little bit more depth on anything, because it is a gray. So I'll just kind of go around. Add it under the eaves in any of the crevices. Darken up the back pillars. Put it in the roof line too. Throw some in on these step things. There we go. I think that's looking pretty good. Okay, we're just gonna finish up the tree areas here. So we're gonna go in with some maple. Follow some of these roots that go down in here. Make those nice and dark. Follow these all the way up. Okay, going with a brown. Where's regular old brown? Messy desk. Darken up one side of that. So I'll go down in here somewhere. Okay, then we bring in the, I'm putting in the wheat again, just very lightly. Color this little skull in. Then we will bring in the ivory and go around. Blend all that color in. Whether it blends in the green or the brown or whatever, it'll blend and make it nice. Give it a bright color on the edges. It'll also seal it up, so when I put that distress ink background on here, you won't bleed over it. That tree needs to be darker, so it'll stand out there. I think these are branches. It's hard to tell. There we go. All right. I kind of like that. Okay, we're going to do a blue background on this. I'll get the camera set up and we'll be right back. Okay, I think I've got it up high enough. I am going to ink this brown down here, but I'm going to just go up here and do blue up here for right now. This is Broken China Distress Ink, and I've got a big pad. I'm just going to ink it up, and then I'm going to kind of go in some of these areas very, very, very lightly and pull some of this color upward. So I'm putting the weight down in the color, which is very, very, very soft weight, and just pulling it upward. Not putting much pressure on this at all. Kind of going around the edges. Then we'll go down here and do the same thing. Get a little dark there. It's okay, we're gonna add a little water on this, so it'll work out. Go on this side. Way too dark over there, but that's what water does, is it'll take it away. So we're just going to go around the edges here and lighten that up, so very softly pull out. I've not dipped this back in the ink at all, I'm just pulling ink out. Okay. Now I'd like it a little darker. Don't know what color this is. Let's see. Yep, this is Faded Jeans. We're just going to put touches of it in here and there. Same ink pad. It's just going to add in a little darker color here and there. All right, now we're going to bring in the brown, since I find my little brown dude again. My brown ink, where did it go? Where did I put it? I've got the green. Hold on. Before I ink the bottom, I'm going to spray the top. This is a Distress ink sprayer. It's just filled with water, and we're just going to spritz up this water or ink a bit and pull some water. What am I saying? We're going to water down the ink before it dries, and we're going to pick up some of that ink before it sets. And it may have already done that, so I have to be a little quicker on that, I think. It's been a while since I've used anything. Well, first time I've colored in this book. I don't know if the paper's the same as the other Kerby books. There, I think that'll be good enough. We will see. That will have to dry, and I don't think I got any water down here. So we're going to ink up the bottom of the page with the 3 colors that we used on the turtle. So we are going to go in first with the Gathered Twigs, and we're just going to lay it, you can see the bottom of the page, right? In here, softly, and pull it around. So there we have a little bit of a base color. We'll go in with some scattered straw and just brighten up some spots. Okay, and then we will go in with the walnut stain and darken some spots. So just kind of pick a few areas and just draw your ink across it. And there we go. base on the bottom doesn't need to be spritzed or anything, so we're not going to worry about that. We're going to let this dry. It did seep through the paper, so I have to let that dry, and we'll see what this does. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I'm playing around a little bit with the ink. Had a little brown left on the inking tool here, which I assume could be the gathered twigs, which is what I'm going to put on here. And I kind of just tapped some of this in the blue because I thought the blue was just a bit bright. And then I'm just going to pull in the spray and spray it in so it kind of blends in just a bit better. Now I should have waited until that was all dry, but this is what I'm going to do. We'll put some up here. Just kind of blend it in with the existing colors. So again, I'm just spraying it with water and wiping it up. Now I know this section down here is too wet to do it in, so I'm not going to do it down there. But just playing around. See how all these colors work together. I like brown and blues together. Might be okay down over here. That's because that's really wet. That's really wet. You shouldn't be doing this at all. It could be ruining the whole page. But I wanted to see how it would work. And I like that better than the bright, bright blue anyway. So we'll spray that. See how that does. And let that dry. And what I'll do, I just have to let it dry on both sides. In case you want to know, it does not bleed through. This is just water here that's coming through. But can you even see that? It doesn't bleed through to the other side. The inks will just wrinkle the page a little bit, and it doesn't look that bad. It just wrinkled the sail and the little boat part that came up. You do notice I do have a piece of paper here just in case I'm coloring, you know, with the big pressure. I don't want this to bleed onto the next page. I don't know in this book if it would do that, but I always put a piece of paper behind just to make sure it doesn't. The only other thing I would do here is add a tiny bit of Posca, and some of these areas here that I would like to probably add just a little bit of heighten to, I would just go in and add a little bit of white to those, blend it in a little, just so you know that the shell there is standing up higher than the other ones. So I would probably go in and add some of that. Other than that, we're basically done on this page. I might add it in the house too to accent some pieces. Just put a little tiny dab on there and then bring it down with your finger. See, this one got a little blue, and you might want to bring in some of that just to lighten up that area and make it stand out a little bit more. So just find places that you'd like to do that on and do that. What I'll do is take a picture at the end of the video and show you what it looks like when it's dry. I may add just a tiny bit more of the brown down in here to blend these two together a little bit better, but I can't until it dries. So thanks guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. As always, I will leave a link in the description box of all the pencils and the inks that I have used. And have a great one, everyone. Bye now. Take care.